Let me tell you, if you'd asked me 5 years ago what would drag a quiet, busted knuckle guy like me into a full-on neighborhood war, I would have guessed a wild animal, or maybe a tornado, not a bunch of retirees with clipboards and a taste for power trips. But that's the thing about peace and quiet. You don't really know what you've got until somebody tries to take it. And when they came for mine, they kicked the wrong damn hornet's nest. We finally moved in that last week of April Oklahoma sun just warming up and honeysuckle blooming so strong you could taste it. Standing on that porch with the railing leaning left, I took a deep breath and thought for the first time in 24 years of busting my tail. We made it. Mary was inside with her tape measure already planning out her sewing workshop. The kids, Logan and Ella, were fighting over the tree swing, hollering like wild things. It wasn't much on paper, just under 7 acres, an old house with good bones and a busted pool, no neighbors breathing down your neck, no HOA rules posted on the mailbox. For us, it was freedom. Every dollar we'd saved, me working dirty jobs since I was a kid, Mary sewing custom quilts online, living leaner than a one-ply roll of toilet paper, went into this place. So when I started tearing into renovations, I was on a mission. Cleared the brush, poured new patio, rigged up solar panels, patched the pool until it ran clear for the first time in years. Weekends were for grilling cold beers and falling asleep to the sound of wind in the trees instead of highway sirens. Felt like we'd finally outrun the world. Then came that knock, Tuesday afternoon sun beating down, and me elbow deep in carburetor grease in the garage. 2 sharp knocks, not the kind you get from a neighbor wanting to borrow a ladder. More like, I'm here to ruin your peace. I opened the door, and there she was. Late 60s hair set so tight you could bounce a quarter off at pearls, and a manila folder clutched like a weapon. "You must be Mr. Brady," she says, flashing a smile as genuine as a $3 bill. "Karen Holdway, president of Aspen Ridge, HOA. Just wanted to deliver this personally." Now I didn't shake her hand, I just stared. "You got the wrong place. We're not in any HOA. She keeps smiling, all customer service on sedatives. "Well, actually, there's some confusion. According to our revised 2006 plan, your property is inside Aspen Ridge jurisdiction." She whips out a printed map, tapping my spot with her French manicured finger. "That's you. And as such, I'm here to notify you of unpaid dues. $65,000. Also your workshop and pool non-compliant. Subject to removal." I laughed out loud. Couldn't help it. Thought it was a prank. But Karen didn't budge. She looked at me like I'd just failed her pop quiz. I took the map cheap emblem in the corner lines and lot numbers all over it. Something didn't sit right. "Ma'am, I bought this as private, unrestricted land. I've got the deed, title, insurance, everything. None of it says Aspen Ridge." She sniffed like I'd tracked mud on her white carpet. "It's common for rural parcels to be included in HOA expansions without notice. You'll want to review your documents. In the meantime, here's your formal notice." She dropped the envelope on my doormat. I didn't touch it. "Lady, you're trespassing. I'm asking you to leave." Her smile slipped. "You'll want to take this seriously," she called. Marching back to her Lexus, "The association does have legal avenues." And just like that, she was gone, gravel crunching under overpriced tires. Mary stepped out, wiping her hands on her apron. "Who was that?" I handed her the map. "Apparently we owe 65 grand and the kids can't play basketball." She stared. "You're joking." I wasn't. And as I looked at the neat lawns and matching shutters of Aspen Ridge across the road, I knew in my gut we were in for a fight. Next morning, I was at the county assessor's office with every closing document I owned. Didn't sleep much. Mary kept rereading paperwork as if a "just kidding" stamp would pop up on our deed. Kids were nervous, asking if we had to move again. The woman at the office, a friendly face in a sunflower cardigan, pulled up our records. "Rural residential unrestricted. No active HOA," she said, tapping the screen. "Closest one is Aspen Ridge. Ends 60 feet north of your fence. That knot in my chest loosened a little. I got it certified gold seal and all, then headed straight to my lawyer, Jeff Kim. Jeff's not the chattiest, looks like he'd rather be home with a book than fighting land disputes, but he knows his legal code. He took one look at Karen's map and shook his head. This isn't legit. Fake emblem. Old seal. Someone took a real map and doctored it. That's fraud. When I told him about the $65,000 demand and the order to tear down Mary's workshop, his eyes went wide. We'll draft a cease and desist. If she shows up again, call the sheriff. Sounded good. But when I got home, things had escalated. Aspen Ridge newsletters in my mailbox, front page, a photo of my wife's workshop labeled Community Eyesore. They'd taken pictures of my property without permission. I tore that newsletter up until my hands shook. They weren't just after our money, they were coming for our reputation. That night, our friendly neighbor from across the street, khakis, boat shoes, receding hairline, came by, standing just a little too far onto my side. Heard about your lot issue. Karen's tough, but maybe just pay up, you know. Easier that way. I stood up, welding torch still in hand. Tell Karen if she wants money, she can work for it like the rest of us. Now, unless you brought a six-pack time to head back. He left, tapping away on his phone. Mary was worried but determined. They want to fight. We go legal, we go public, whatever it takes. And I'll say this. She might look gentle, but Mary'd chew through drywall for our family. Things got weirder. Next morning, I found a metal sign staked by our workshop Aspen Ridge HOA structure marked for removal. QR codes, the works. Security cameras caught two figures at 3 a.m., one in a hoodie, the other filming. One had the neighbor's shoes, so they were running surveillance ops on us now. Later, a couple of HOA types showed up, measuring tape and clipboard, poking around. I stepped outside, shotgun slung over my shoulder, not loaded, but they didn't know that. You boys paying rent for standing on my land. They bolted. But 10 minutes later, a police cruiser pulled up. We got a call about a man with a firearm threatening civil workers. I showed him the footage, trespassers, not threats. The officer watched, sighed, and said, "Not the first Aspen Ridge HOA dispute. Keep it all documented." I plan to. The next twist was a neighbor named Bethany, blonde, perky, lemon bars in hand, asking about our solar panels, permits, fences, the works. Mary, polite as ever, invited her in. I watched her eyes scan the place. Security footage later showed her snapping photos by Mary's workshop. I moved every important document to the basement, then just for fun made a fake boundary map with a planted GPS error and left it on my desk for Bethany to find. Sure enough, 3 days later, the HOA's lawyer sent a notice citing the exact GPS error for my decoy map. Hook, line, and sinker, I handed everything: letters, maps, security footage, even Bethany's spy shots to Jeff. He laughed. "You're meaner than you look, Brady." Jeff countersued for boundary fraud and harassment. Turns out we weren't the only ones. Eddie, a former neighbor, stopped by, said the HOA hit him for 20 grand using the same scam. I started talking to other rural folks on the edge of Aspen Ridge, found a retired teacher bullied over her roof color, a widower who lost his shed after threats. None were legally in the HOA. They just didn't know how to fight. Well, I did. We organized a town hall. Folks showed up scared but angry. After I laid it all out, we formed a coalition. A daughter of one elderly couple was a paralegal. She brought 2 years of demand letters for a property outside covenant control. Jeff's eyes lit up. Pattern of abuse. That's when the criminal side kicked in. We filed formal complaints for forgery, extortion, and harassment. Jeff brought in a land surveyor, Luis Ortega, who dug up more dirt. Aspen Ridge's supposed 2006 plan was never legally filed. It was a ghost map made up to look official. I told Luis to keep digging. Meanwhile, Aspen Ridge turned up the heat: missing packages, broken trash bins, greasy stuff smeared on my truck drone, photos slipped in my mailbox. My family was rattled. So I called in a journalist, Carrie Sanchez, who specialized in land use corruption. She went deep, digging up internal memos showing Aspen Ridge had a whole playbook for boundary expansion, scare tactics, fake dues, neighbor informants. And Karen Holdway's name was all over it. Carrie's expose blew up. News picked it up. Hashtags started trending, "Not my HOA." That's when the HOA shifted tactics, sending a fancy arbitration letter hoping to keep it out of court. Jeff blocked it, attaching every piece of evidence, including the blog fake maps and Luis's sworn affidavit that their development plan never existed. The judge granted our motion. Then the sheriff came knocking, not for me, but for Karen. A subpoena for all maps and financials. And that's when the dominoes really started to fall. An anonymous leak. Internal emails, financial records, editable maps, even the GPS error from my decoy proved Karen's team stole my document and tried to pass it off as evidence. Jeff filed an amended complaint citing criminal fraud, tampering, and illegal surveillance. The DA launched a formal inquiry. Investigators showed up, photographed my property, took statements. "You're not the only case," the lead said, "but you're the loudest." Carrie's blog went national. Media outlets plastered Karen's face on the evening news. Then Luis found the smoking gun, a document laying out Aspen Ridge's plan to absorb unincorporated land strong-arm residents and incentivize snitching with committee seats. Digitally signed by Karen herself. The DA moved to seize the HOA servers. Karen made a statement on TV blaming TikTok and disgruntled new residents. Too late. The next week, sheriff's cruisers rolled up to her estate. She came out in a bathrobe, lips pursed, and they cuffed her right there. It hit the news that night. HOA president arrested for fraud. The charges were brutal document forgery, criminal conspiracy, harassment, property tampering. More board members were taken in. Aspen Ridge collapsed, their charter dissolved, restitution ordered. They owed me $1.2 million. Justice. But honestly, the real victory was the quiet. Our peace. Our land. Mary's workshop thrived. Logan played basketball under the floodlights. Ella climbed the oak tree. I carved a sign, "Private property, not for HOA." Hung the old fake map underneath just to remind them. Folks stopped by to apologize, share stories. Even Bethany returned with peaches and a quiet, "I was scared." I took them. People conform, fear is strong. But sometimes you have to stand up. So here's my advice. Know your lines, document everything, and never ever hand your land over without a fight. We had a barbecue last weekend, neighbors laughing, kids with sparklers music drifting through the summer night. Logan asked if the sign would stay forever. I said not forever, just long enough for them to remember. And we raised a glass to freedom, to peace, and to never backing down. So what do you think? Is it ever worth fighting for your home? Even if it means taking on the whole damn system? Drop a comment, share your story, or just tell me, where do you draw the line?